Thank you. Hey, thanks so much. Great to be here. Oops, that's kind of loud. Nice to be here, see all your familiar smiling faces. It's a great conference, and I'm excited about spending a little time with you and reviewing some of the information about slowing aging, extending human longevity, never having heart attacks, strokes, dementia, or cancer, taking control of your health destiny, and getting you back to great health again. And you guys must know that to get back to great health and to never have a heart attack or a stroke, you have to achieve certain parameters, right? I'm promising you, I'm saying to you, don't have a heart attack or a stroke. Don't get demented. How many people want that? Want to take advantage of that opportunity? Raise your hand. No, just kidding. Don't raise your hand. Because look, to take advantage of that opportunity, you've got to be willing to do what it takes to achieve that. I'm not giving you a pill. You've got to earn it. You've got to take charge of your health destiny and protect yourself. And the way that you have to protect yourself against future heart attacks and strokes and cancer is you have to achieve a normal blood pressure without medications. If you're requiring medications to achieve that, you're not protected. A matter of fact, the more medications you're requiring to achieve a normal blood pressure, or the more medications you're requiring to achieve a healthy cholesterol or a healthy glucose, the closer you are to death and the more likely you're going to die. The protection I'm trying to offer you to be protected against these diseases means you have to earn a good cholesterol with your diet. You have to achieve a good glucose number. You have to achieve a good blood pressure with your diet and lifestyle, with the way you think, with the way you live, with the way you eat. So you're off the medications. That's when you're protected. And you have to achieve a normal body weight too, and maintain that slim body weight for the rest of your life, or you're not protected. So don't raise your hand and tell me it's what you want, because obviously it's not what you want. Or whatever you're doing, you've been given the wrong information. And I know most Americans are overweight. About 89% of Americans are overweight. I know people think that 70% are overweight because the conventional health authorities tells us 70% are overweight, but that's because they use a demarcation line of 25, BMI of 25. And all long-lived society, blue zone, centenarians, all healthy people have BMIs below 23, not below 25. And so it's really 89% of people that are overweight. And we have a nation of food addicts. And processed foods and highly concentrated caloric foods that rush into the bloodstream very rapidly make us into food addicts. And every person that's overweight in America is a food addict. And most of you are food addicts. And you have to understand how to get rid of your food addiction and tendency to want to eat excessive calories if you want to achieve good health. What I'm telling you now is there's no such thing as a healthy overweight person. You can't have it both ways. The only way to be healthy is to be of a normal weight, because fat cells are lipotoxic. They produce inflammatory mediators that cause cancer. They secrete angiogenesis promoters, and the word angiogenesis means to promote the growth of blood vessels to fuel cellular replication and growth. Fat cells can't grow unless they have blood vessels grow into them to fuel their growth. Fat cells are living tissue. They can only grow if they're fed more calories and more oxygen to keep them alive. And they can only be fed food and calories and oxygen if blood vessels grow and expand as the fat grows and expand. So when you're overweight, you've supplied and you've promoted the growth of a whole new army of roads of blood vessels growing and penetrating into the fat supply. And the same hormones, these same angiogenesis-promoting hormones that told these blood vessels to grow, accelerate the growth of cancer on your body and permissively permit blood vessels to grow to feed cancer as well. So fat cells, which are angiogenesis-promoting, allow or permit cancers to replicate and grow on your body as well. Did you follow that? Fat, when you have more fat on your body, it also blocks the uptake of insulin and makes the beta cells in the pancreas have to secrete more insulin. And when you're having to secrete more insulin than you would have needed if you were a normal weight, that excess insulin doesn't just promote further angiogenesis and fat storage, but it promotes cellular replication, it promotes cancer, it promotes the deposition of atherosclerosis, and it drives neuroinflammation or inflammation of the brain, making you more of a food addict, increasing your appetite. It's a vicious cycle of fat on the body leading to more serious illnesses, and those serious illnesses and neurohormones making it more difficult for you to lose weight and more difficult for you to become healthy again. We have to stop that vicious cycle. So that's what this lecture is about. It's about getting you back into great health and recognizing all these factors that cause people to become overweight, and the about 10 or 11% of people in America that are at a normal weight, right? 10 or 11% at a truly normal weight. Most of those people smoke cigarettes, are alcoholics, have depression, digestive disorders, autoimmune diseases, occult cancers, or some emotional problems. That's why they're a normal weight. Because if you're eating American food and you're normal, you're supposed to be overweight. If you're not getting overweight on American food, there's something sick about you. There's something wrong with you. When we look at normal weight people in America and we study them, we're studying a population of very sickly individuals. Did you follow that? It's only about 2.5% of Americans that have achieved a normal weight because they eat healthfully or they exercise. Just 2.5%. The rest of those normal weight people are sick. All Americans are sick. You can't be normal on an American diet. 100 years ago, 1 in 100 Americans were mentally ill. Today, 1 in 5 Americans are mentally ill. Who's talking about this explosion in mental illness and the food we're eating? And that's what we're talking about today as well. This doesn't just make you overweight, it destroys your brain cells. And as you became overweight, you became diabetic, you're losing brain cells in the process, and you're losing control of your life. Because you're no longer in control. Your brain, the primitive brain, these hormones that are dictating your behavior are taking control, and as those hormones take control of your behavior, you lose your control of your life. The American diet is dangerously addicting, and the food is taking control of your life. That's right, we have a nation of people that can't control their eating behaviors. Do you see obese deer running around in the woods? Obese foxes and squirrels? Obese monkeys, right? There's no overweight animals running around in the jungles and the forests and the woods. They control their appetite with a very fine line of exactly how much to eat. Even the predator animals eating the prey, their appetite are finely controlled. They can't overeat. They know exactly how much food to eat, and their weight is all identical to the weight of their parents and their ancestors. There's no overweight people in the natural world. There's no overweight animals. There's no overweight humans in primitive times either. Look, we're animals. Think about this for a minute. Let's take the Arctic lynx. That's a cat that eats the rabbits, right? They eat the hares, and that's almost all they eat. What if they become like a crazy overeater and starts killing all the hares and eating more food? What's going to happen to them? Well, they wipe out the hares. They become extinct. There's no more rabbits to eat. The rabbits die out, and the lynx and the cats become extinct. Nature has a very fine system where overeating calories slows down and shortens lifespan, especially overeating protein through IGF-1 and other mechanisms to speed up aging and to create death, shortens the lifespan of overeating animals so they don't live to consume the prey, which will then stop this animal from surviving into their future. So if we know how we can ratchet down, turn down the lifespan of animals, just feed them more calories, especially give them protein. Protein is the most important and critical regulator of lifespan. The more protein you eat, the shorter your lifespan. The less protein you eat, the longer your lifespan. Do you got that? So here's this predatory animal this carnivore eating excess rabbits, maybe not enough to get overweight, but as soon as they start to eat a little excess, their lifespan gets shortened and their genetic code gets altered. Their genetic code gets altered because it's not enough to shorten their lifespan to stop them overeating. We have to shorten the lifespan of their children and their grandchildren so the hares that are the rabbits have a chance to repopulate and build back their numbers again so they don't become extinct. So when you eat poorly, you don't just damage your body and the eggs that are living in you. In other words, when you're a woman that's 10 years old, 15 years old, 20 years old, 25 years old, 28 years old, before you have your first child, everything you're eating is affecting the health of your child and your future children because those eggs are living in your body and those eggs are being able to be damaged before they're conceived. It's not just eating healthy when you're pregnant that affects the health of your child. It's eating healthy before you get pregnant. When you have a baby at age 30, that egg has been in your body for 31 years since it was formed during the early stages of your development in your mother's womb. That means that what your mother ate and what during her pregnancy and what you ate through your whole life affected the health of your child. When you have a child that gets cancer or a brain tumor when they're 2 years after they're born, is that a nutritional issue? Yes, it's a nutritional issue. You might have eaten hot dogs, processed meats, carcinogens, and an unhealthy diet throughout your whole teenage and early adult life, and you could have caused damage in their children. You have an explosion of autism, an explosion of mental illness, and an explosion of childhood cancer since the start of this fast food movement and the processed food movements in the early part of this last century. So what I'm saying right now is even when you're no longer pregnant, even though, in other words, you're affecting, and even males are affecting the health. If they're whatever diet they eat before they conceive the baby, what their diet is affecting their future health and the future health of our future generations. And you know what? And when you're older and eat unhealthy, you're still damaging your children. Because your children are usually caring for you and you're destroying their lives and making that they have to now, you have to become dependent on them to take care of you, and their life have to suffer now because you didn't take good care of your life. So you have a double whammy of hurting your children when you don't take care of your health. You can't be good for yourself, and we're destroying the genetic structure of future generations, and we're seeing that happen right before our eyes.